the worst exotic in the game. Yes. And by that, I literally mean Provocateur. Before we get into this, massive shout out to DJ Tickle and the rest of DPS clan, who basically just let me abuse them because I haven't even remotely done the Scout. I think I'm at like 1 out of 3 on Scout 1. I have no interest in this chest. I've known it's going to be absolutely trash from the start, which is why I haven't done it. I have no interest in doing the Scout, so I didn't do it. But they all did, and one by one, they just let me just abuse them with random tests and builds. And yeah, it's very safe to say that this Provocateur does nothing, it fits nothing, potentially works as intended. We can't actually test because the PvP side of things, it does work as intended. We did test this with DJ Tickle and a few others in the Dark Zone. Just someone forgot to tab over and check PvP stats. So the PvP side of it is 20% and the PvE is 25%. Very hard to test the 25% damage resistance in PvE because we don't get damage numbers like against or from enemies. It has an armor core, a Hasbro roll, and armor regen roll. And then obviously it's talent, challenger, you take 20 in PvP, less damage from enemies that are within 20 meters. Why am I saying this is the worst exotic in the game? Well, to put it simply, is you don't need that in anything heroic and below. Pretty sure in PvP, you also don't need that. So the actual talent on it is dead. The rolls do not help it whatsoever. And with the amount of survivable or survivability mechanics we have in the game, it doesn't fit any build whatsoever. It's completely dead on arrival. It just doesn't go anywhere. For example, because I said heroic and below, some of you are going, but maybe a legendary tank. Best things for a legendary tank would be Foundry Bulwark. The way Foundry Bulwark works is 25% of the damage that you take is returned to you as healing for both you and your shield. But you're reducing the amount of damage you take by 25%, which essentially means you're getting 25% less healing. Brilliant. Cool, you've directly nerfed yourself. Good for you. Other survivability mechanics will be things like armor on kill, which I've discussed many times. The best thing for armor on kill is just doing more damage, because you need to get that kill as quick as possible. Armor on kill works best with a higher rate of killing. So a chest that reduces that incoming damage isn't going to help here because you need more damage. It's not going to help any form of skill build or support build because it doesn't apply to the team. And just to top it all off, we did actually test this in Legendary with Foundry, with the rate of healing. And yeah, there basically was visibly no difference between running this chest and not running this chest with directly comparable builds. You just die. It didn't do anything. It didn't help anyone. It didn't increase our survivability in any way, shape or form. In simple terms, on heroic and below, our builds are too strong for this chest to even make any form of worthwhile difference in any way, shape or form. It just, like, the content for heroic and below just isn't difficult enough to warrant this level of damage resistance. But then when you put it on heroic, they just do too much damage for you to even notice a difference. Like, there just isn't. We died, well, I say we, a lot of the members of DPS clan who had this chest, who were testing it out for me, yeah, they died just as quick. There was like no difference. They were running like Foundry with it, they were running other things with it, and they just straight up died because legendary ads and their grenade spam and everything else, bloody blah. There was no difference. They actively had more survivability utilizing Catharsis over Provocateur. Catharsis. They also got more damage out of it as well because that's just how Catharsis works. We also went through and tested things like Unbreakable, due to like the rate of aggression and like how much damage you actively take with survivability and healing mechanics and taking cover, etc. Unbreakable in terms of survivability was giving about 30% more armor essentially, because what you could argue is like if you've got like a build of 1.8 million armor, Provocateur is giving you 25% more because you're taking 25% less damage. But then every minute or so randomly regenerating like 80 to 90% of your total armor just is more. It just isn't worth it on any build. It doesn't suit any build. It's a complete waste of time. It's a complete cop-out for it being like the end of Manhunt bullcrap. But yeah, it doesn't help DPS builds for obvious reasons. Even if it had like the armor core and the same rolls but like an actual damage talent, that would be fine. Or if it had its stupid damage resistance talent, at least give it like weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. Or blue core, crit chance, crit damage. Like having it just be full defensive does literally nothing for any build throughout the entire game. I would honestly prefer if it was armor core, skill damage, skill haste, at least that way. I don't know, maybe it could be useful on something like a skill build. I don't know where, but at the very least we could find a use for it. So yeah, it doesn't fit any build or the actual mechanic or dynamic of the game in any way, shape or form. And before people start going, oh no, Acostas is still bad. Acostas sees quite a lot of use in self-overcharging for a lot of support builds. Even Imperial Dynasty still sees some use in PvP, and there's actually a few semi-decent CC builds, of which I use one, that actually still use Imperial Dynasty, and it does function pretty okay. It's nowhere near as good as in comparison to just going straight up foam build, but it does work. Provocateur doesn't work on anything. If anything, it's a direct nerf to everything you put it on. It's just outright so damn bad. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.